Gary was laughing again. Rex had just opened his monthly meteor bag. Same number as last year. 1,000 meteors. Exactly. Gary pointed at the bag and laughed so hard he dropped his rock. Rex did not understand why. He went to the market. He bought 17 things. Last year he bought 20 things with the same bag. Rex looked at the bag. Then at the 17 things. Then at the bag again. He called Gary. Gary was still laughing. Chapter 1. The bag looks the same. Nobody stole anything. Nobody raised his rent yet. Rex did not lose his job. The bag had the same number. The world had different prices. That is called inflation. And Rex had been ignoring it for years. Inflation means the same amount of money buys less stuff over time. Not because you spend it wrong. Not because you made bad decisions. Just because the value of each meteor quietly goes down while you sleep. The meteors just got smaller while Rex was busy with other things. Your money can lose value without anyone touching it. Rex found this deeply unfair. Gary found it very funny. Chapter 2. Someone is shrinking the meteors. Rex wanted to know who was responsible. Deep inside a mountain, there is a very official cave. Inside that cave, serious dinosaurs in suits print new meteors every single day. They are called the Central Meteor Authority. Rex had never heard of them. When times are bad, they print more meteors. A lot more. More meteors in the jungle means each individual meteor is worth a little less. Think about it this way. Gary found a tree last year with 100 bananas. Bananas were valuable. Everyone wanted them. Gary traded bananas for everything. Then Gary found 10 more trees. 1,000 bananas now existed in the jungle. Nobody wanted to pay much for a banana anymore. The banana lost value. Not because the banana changed. Because there were too many of them. That is exactly what happens when the cave prints too many meteors. Rex was not in that cave. Rex never voted for anyone in that cave. But his meteors got smaller anyway. Because that is how the system works. Chapter 3. The boss has a chart. Rex did the logical thing. He went to ask his boss for more meteors. His boss was a large dinosaur with very small eyes and a very large desk. Rex explained that prices had gone up. That his bag bought less than before. The boss turned a monitor around. There was a chart on it. The chart had an upward line. The boss pointed at the line and said, "You got a 3% raise this year." The inflation rate that year was 6%. Rex earned 3% more. But everything cost 6% more. Rex was mathematically going backward while standing completely still. The boss said, "The market determines salaries. That is just how it works." Rex asked what the market was exactly. The boss said, "It is complicated." Rex asked who was in charge of the market. The boss smiled and changed the subject. Here is what nobody explains clearly. Salaries are sticky. Prices move fast. Rent goes up in January. Food goes up in March. But salaries move slowly. They get reviewed once a year if you are lucky. So every year that inflation is higher than your raise, you get poorer. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just a little. A quiet, invisible, perfectly legal kind of poorer. Rex earned more meteors this year than last year. Rex could afford less. Both of those things were true at the same time. That is the part that breaks your brain. Chapter 4. The slow extinction. Rex walked home and tried to calculate the damage. Year 1. Inflation 6%. Raise 3%. Real loss, 3%. Year 2. Inflation 5%. Raise 2%. Real loss, 3%. Year 3. Inflation 4%. Raise 3%. Real loss, 1%. 7% poorer over 3 years. Without losing a single job. Without a single crisis. No meteor fell from the sky. No bank collapsed. No emergency happened. Rex just quietly, slowly, mathematically lost ground while his boss showed him upward lines. 1 fewer trip per year. 1 fewer dinner out per month. 1 category moved from yes to maybe. Each individual cut felt manageable. Together they were not small at all. Gary had never had a salary. Gary had always lived exactly this way. Gary did not find it funny anymore when Rex explained the numbers out loud. Gary just looked at the ground and said nothing for a long time. Gary understood this better than Rex. He just never had the words for it. Chapter 5. What Rex can actually do. Rex sat on a rock and thought about his options. He could ask for a bigger raise. Specifically. With numbers. Not just a conversation. Calculate the real inflation rate and walk in with that number written down. Most bosses say no to vague requests. Fewer say no to a number backed by data. Rex also thought about what he owned versus what he earned. Meteors in a bag lose value. Assets can gain value. Those are different things. A meteor sitting in a bag is just quietly shrinking. A meteor working somewhere useful might grow. Rex also understood now that he needed to watch the real number. Not just the raise percentage. The inflation rate too. The difference between them. That difference is called real wage growth. Knowing it changes everything. You cannot negotiate what you cannot measure. You cannot protect what you cannot see. Rex walked home with 17 things from the market. He thought about the 3 things he used to buy and no longer could. He thought about the cave. The printed meteors. The boss and his chart. And Gary, who had always known without ever knowing why. Rex put his meteor bag down on the table. He looked at it for a long time. Same number as always. Different world than before. Gary had stopped laughing.